Have you ever had to hide by the snack bar throughout the entirety of your CEO run? Have you ever had to rely on the unites of others just to dance in the CEO? Have you ever enacted the rage of a rampaging bear because you trained your trap in the coggrounds and been attempted to be greened by said bear and almost died? If any of this has ever happened to you, you may find this guide useful because I will teach you how to never get hit in the CEO ever again. So my plan for this video is I'm just going to quickly go through the tips I think that are the most important in order to dodge all of the CEO's attacks 100% of the time, or very close to 100% of the time. Now, the first thing we can think about is reaction time, because the CEO, it's very important to have good reaction time in order to dodge your attacks. Now, in order to have good reaction time, what I personally would recommend to anyone who's struggling a little bit, I know I had a little bit of trouble with this at one point, is instead of using the escape button to get off, or clicking to get off, you can use mouse keys to get off of your table. The way you do this is you set up mouse keys on Windows only by typing in mouse keys in your little search bar, activating it, and by default, the 5 on your numpad will now basically be a faster version of clicking that's closer to your control on your arrow keys, so you won't have to stretch your hand as far. Not having to stretch your hand as far means you will have faster reaction time, so you can basically, with your two hands, if you have on your left hand, you have like your index finger and your ring finger on the arrow keys. You have your pinky on the control button to seltzer. And you can have your middle finger of your right hand on the 5 to press mouse keys. It increases your reaction time significantly when getting off the table, which means you can pretty much, as soon as you see the CEO looking at you, within a split second, you can get off that table, and it will limit the number of times you get hit if your reason for getting hit is not having fast enough reaction time. Now, the second tip I can give you guys today is to have the foresight to know when to get off, because this might be a problem if you're just very basic to the game. So anytime the CEO says 4, you need to move. Now, if you're in the process of getting on and off a table, you need to get off the table, because if you're in that transitionary period, you're going to get hit getting on. You have to have not been starting your animation to get on the table in order to not be hit by the CEO when he says 4. Now, likewise, you need to get off the table and move to the side, potentially, a little bit, if you want to make sure you completely dodge any of the CEO's attacks. Another big idea is that if you're not sure if people are behind you or not, because either there could be somebody behind you because they're trying to green you, or there could be somebody behind you because you have a table and somebody's taking snacks, or they're just passing by, or sometimes you have an angled table and somebody's just going to be behind you. Like if you have a middle table, sometimes are going to just be people behind you. So the best way to avoid that attack is you just, not only do you get off, but you get off and you actually jump to the side, which prevents you from taking damage, because if the CEO is aiming at somebody behind you, just getting off is not good enough, because that attack will go through you and hit you when he's aiming for somebody behind you. So what I'd always recommend if you're having any trouble whatsoever with getting hit is not only do you get off and to the side. You always want to get off the table if you're in that transitionary period where he says 4, because he might hit you otherwise. And then finally, if he just looks in your direction, when the CEO turns around, let's just say, because the CEO is going to quickly turn his animation around, if you understand what I mean, he will, if he either looks at you or passes his vision by you, just get off the table immediately, because there is at least a 20% chance, if not higher, that he's throwing gears at you. There's no point in trying to wait and see, because the longer you wait, the higher chances are of getting hit by the gears. Just, if he quickly whips his vision around, just get off the table and get back on. It's not worth it, because there's a decent chance you could get hit, and it doesn't cost you that much to be a little bit on the cautionary side. Not talking to a ridiculous proportion here, but it's better to be safe than sorry in the CEO battle, because you're going to cost your team way more time in the run if you're stuck going to get snacks, or if you end up going sad, that also costs your team time in the run. If you just take a couple precautionary measures to be safer, that will make the run go faster for your team. And then finally, the biggest thing that I think gets people screwed over is when they have a middle table and they don't have the foresight to see where the CEO is. You have to be looking around, seeing where he is. You need to get off very early if there's a chance he's not going to just run to your table, but run through you, because if you get off the table and he keeps driving through and hits you, you take 15 damage. If he runs over your table because his path is going to run over your table, you're going to take 20 damage. So you really need to pay attention to where the CEO is, and you have to be very liberal about when you jump off if it looks like the CEO is going to potentially run through your pathing. Playing a middle table, it's still very easy to go hitless. It just requires you to have a much better idea of where the CEO is and play defensively. When he's around your area and there's potential for you to get hit, you need to react ahead of time instead of trying to react the same way you would if you're on a corner table. You need to be much more preemptive and make sure you jump out of the way of the CEO's moving path so he doesn't run through you or over you. And this comes with experience, but really, especially if you're a new player, I would definitely try to get a corner table to make this easier, but it's still very easy to go hitless in a middle table. You just have to be a little bit less intense with your damaging, and you have to be a little bit more willing to just get off when the situation looks like it could be not so great for you. Now, these are just my basic tips to never get hit in the CEO. If you put these all together in practice, it should result in you pretty much never getting hit. So just to recap, use mouse keys to get off instead of your escape key or clicking, because you can get a faster reaction time by having your hands be closer together. You don't have to stretch as far apart to press the escape key as the first tip. And then secondly, you want to not just get off, but get off and to the side just in case somebody's behind you, because you might get hit on accident, especially if people behind you are taking snaps or they just happen to be passing by. And then thirdly, you need to be paying situationally aware to where the CEO is when you're on a middle table so you don't get screwed over by him as he's passing by. If you combine all this together, this is quite literally all you need to do to dodge the CEO's attacks. And again, like I said, you want to always be moving when you're in 4, and if you're in that transitionary period when you're jumping on or off a table, you need to make sure you just fully commit to going off again to make sure you don't get hit. And if you do all this, the CEO will never hit you. This is one of the bosses that has probably the least cheese mechanics. The mechanics behind the boss are extremely simple, extremely easy to dodge once you learn how they work. And if you're still having any issues whatsoever, if you're getting hit even once or twice, let me know what your issue is in the comments, and I will try to respond and help you out. Hopefully you found this guide useful, and hopefully you don't end up in the position that you see these poor tunes in this situation where you are at the mercy of greeners and trolls, and you're basically going to be relying on your team to unite you, or to not be taking snacks themselves, or to just carry you through the celts around. Once you learn how to do the CEO on your own, it becomes much more relaxing, and you can just watch the drama and the chaos around you that happens in almost every run, like the run of the video that I showed you watching. So, hopefully you enjoyed this video. I'll probably have more guides in the future. I'll have a little bit more emphasis on the rants, but some more guides like this will be out in the future. So, thank you once again. See you guys tomorrow. Goodbye.